What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another review stream for you guys as Spurs got absolutely battered at the King Power, 4-1. I was up there yesterday and it was not happy viewing. Sim got lucky, didn't
got away with it.
Got away with it. Didn't have to go to the game. But look, I mean, it was just shocking, wasn't it? We came out of the traps quite well, I felt. First 20 minutes, it looked like we came out with a bit of a point to prove. We were passing it nicely. We got that goal, albeit a bit of a scrappy goal at the back post with Bentancur off a corner. But then it just was a complete shit show after that. It went from bad to worst. We couldn't seem to fashion any sort of chances. Leicester were pummeling it on us. No Spurs player come out of that with any sort of glory. The management don't come out of it with any sort of glory whatsoever. And it was just a shit show. I mean, what else can you explain it as?
I think for many reasons it was a terrible, terrible day for Tottenham. As much as things had been turning over the past few weeks, we got some signings through the door, we got some clean sheets, beating Man City, Harry Kane breaking the record. It looked as though for all the world to see, Spurs were starting to turn it around, and then we came, let's be honest, down to a crashing halt yesterday. And it wasn't just the result and the performance as to why. There's other reasons why as well, and we'll get into those in a minute. But the day starts out, you look at the lineup, Porro starting, the new signings getting a run out. You're thinking, all right, this, we're going to finally see him in action. We start the game, we're flying out the traps. I think within a minute or so, we're pressing high. Bentancur has a chance. We're winning the ball in some good positions. You think, all right, Spurs are up for it today. We get a few early sighters on Ward's goal. We get a couple of chances from corners, and we end up taking the lead after 14 minutes, and everything seems rosy. Everything seems like it's going really well. 1-0 up, playing well. New signing is playing on the pitch, and then it just turned out of absolutely nowhere. Leicester equalised after about 5 minutes after we scored, which I thought was a really it was just obviously a great finish by Mendy, not taking away from the finish, but the corner comes out to Perisic, cleared off the line by Bentancur, it comes out to Mendy, and Perisic is going to close him down, and he just doesn't fully commit to closing him down. He kind of just stops halfway through and allows Mendy to get the shot off. It flies into the top corner and it's 1-1. All of a sudden, Leicester have their tails up. Spurs don't react to the equaliser, and obviously they take the lead within a couple of minutes. So within 5-10 minutes of scoring, we're 2-1 down, and it's almost as if we completely lost our composure after going 2-1 down. We kind of threw all caution to the wind at 2-1 down, trying to get back in the game. And it reminded me of a quote from Rodri last season when Man City were playing Aston Villa on the last day of the season. They were 2-0 down, I think, at half-time, and they had to win the league. And he said, Pep in the dressing room told them, you need to keep your composure, because sometimes you want to score the second goal before you score the first goal, and you're just trying so hard, you're going hell for leather to get back in the game, that you lose all composure and throw all caution to the wind and leave yourself exposed. And that's how I felt like Spurs were yesterday. At 2-1 down, it was like we were playing as if it was the last 10 minutes of a game, after with still plenty of time to go. You know what I mean? We were just chucking players forward after half an hour, leaving pretty much the back three to defend the whole goal. Mm-hmm. We were trying to, pretty much, I think, for the second, third and fourth goal, and probably the one that got ruled out for VAR, we're just caught so high up the pitch. We're relying on Dyer, Tanganga and Davis to doing a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to all the defensive work, and they just weren't up to it. They were not up to it yesterday, and they were exposed. Our front three couldn't hang on to the ball for love nor money. Sonny was taking a year to release the ball whenever he got it. Harry Kane was going completely bullied by Faust. They were pressing really hard on him, and he couldn't make it stick. He couldn't hang on to the ball. The few occasions he did hang on to the ball, we actually did sustain some decent openings. I remember he played a really good through ball to Perisic, who didn't make the most of a really good opportunity, and when he did make it stick, it was positive, but it was so few and far between. Kulusevski looked out of sorts. Bentancur and Højbjerg, Bentancur was alright, but Højbjerg was getting caught on the ball way too often. Porro and Perisic were getting skinned alive, especially Porro on down the wings, and Iheanacho was making a fool's work of our Eric Dyer, the centre back, and it turned into an absolute shit show. You think of the third goal, Eric Dyer is just backing off consistently, backing off when Iheanacho is closing in, doesn't close him down at one point. Iheanacho even has time to literally go towards goal, put his foot on the ball, and then swing his left foot back and finish into the far corner without one moment of Eric Dyer thinking, maybe I should put a foot in. Maybe I should actually go and try and block the ball. And the fourth goal as well, Eric Dyer just lets him shoot, doesn't go engage him, doesn't try and block the shot. Maybe he's worried about being dribbled past, but at some point you got to stop the shot being coming through. And we were just absolutely destroyed in the transitions. That's something that should have been our strength.
Every single goal we conceded was a defensive shit show yesterday. And yeah, however good Leicester were yesterday, and I thought they were fairly good, but I didn't think they were as good as maybe some people are saying. It wasn't a 4-1 game, I don't think. And I think that it was a 4-1 game because of how horrific we were. That's fair enough. They completely deserved it. But I don't think they were that good, where if we would have put in a competent defensive display, I don't even think we lose this game. And let's bring up these pictures from the second and third goal. First one's the second goal. You see Tanganga and Davis there in their shape. And I don't know what Eric Dyer is doing.
I think he's doing what he was doing against Man City, trying to be aggressive, trying to come out of that back three. And I think that was instruction.
But it's like there's no one there for him to be up aggressive against.
That's the problem.
He's just there in no man's land.
Look,
a gaping hole in the middle of our defence.
Part of me is like, because this isn't like in build-up, so you got to remember, Davis has just played a pass into Kane there. Kane has lost the tackle to Faust. Faust is about to win the tackle, and that tackle then turns into a through ball into Iheanacho. So that is on the consequence of the transition. So one point is a bit unlucky that tackle goes right into Iheanacho's path, and then what happens is Tanganga on the far side there, he comes across to, because Iheanacho is pretty much through on goal at this point. Tanganga comes across. No one's tracking Maddison there. Porro's obviously not doing anything, or Højbjerg's in no man's land. But you got to remember, we've just had the ball, so we're in possession, and then the pass gets intercepted. Faust gets into Iheanacho, and then all of a sudden we're all at sea. But I think what Dyer is doing there is trying to do what he did against City. But yeah, he should be on Iheanacho. But again, you got to remember, we're not in a defensive phase of play here. We're not on the ball, so I have a bit of sympathy, but not much.
Not much at all, and especially for this next one. This is the third goal. I mean, where is the defence there? Where is the defence? Everyone. You've got Perisic out on the left-hand side there. You got Ben Davis, I think that is tucked inside. Eric Dyer completely nowhere to be seen. Is that Porro or is that Tanganga?
I think if you move the image to the right a bit, I don't know if you can. I think Dyer's there really deep, if I'm not mistaken. Or is that the full image? Because I'm pretty sure, there we go. He's so deep he wasn't even in image. Yeah,
there we go. I mean, what is he doing?
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. And this I have very much less sympathy for, because this is in a defensive phase of play when actually I believe Leicester had the ball a bit, and then Spurs were trying to get back in their shape. I do not know what Dyer is doing here. He's completely playing everyone so clearly onside, and then not only does he do that position, which is bad enough, and then the ball goes to Iheanacho and he just backs off until Iheanacho decides it's the perfect moment to shoot and put it in the corner. I thought his defending was shocking.
Made it so hard to defend against as well. Like, the ball was right there, ready for the taking. I mean, we had a conversation on the way in. If Romero's in that situation, we get that ball easy. Yeah,
either he gets the ball or he gets the foul. And you might argue, if he fouls in that situation, maybe it's a red card. But I think if you make a genuine attempt, unless it's like a really cynical foul, if you make a genuine attempt to get the ball, and then you end up bringing him down, I think you can get away with the yellow card in that situation. So I think that Dyer's defending was pretty shambolic. He's never been a great one-on-one defender, and that showed again yesterday. And I think yesterday, again, was proof in the pudding as to why I think Conte is so... what's the word? Not adamant is part of the word, but it's like insistent on playing like a deep line, not leaving space, not pressing too high. Because what happens there is when we leave that space, we get completely exposed. We don't have the defenders to deal with one-on-one situations. If we had a back three that was strong or fast, could deal with those situations, situations, it wouldn't be as much of a problem. You know, if we had like a brilliant defender in that situation who, you know, would be confident putting a tackle in or engaging rather than someone who just continually backs off. That's been by the way, a problem with Dyer for a long time. His continual lack of engagement.
Turned his back as well yesterday at time. Perisic turned his back as well. I mean, these defenders are just not fit for purpose. You're looking at the starting lineup yesterday. Fraser Forster in goal, a back three of Tanganga, Davis, and Dyer. I mean, that's not a Premier League defence. Definitely not a Champions League defence trying to go for Champions League. I mean, this defence will look good in the Championship. That's about it. I mean, it's week in, week out. These defenders are making shocking errors. And
especially when you're trying to be, if you want to be more on the front foot, press higher up the pitch, be more offensive. You have to have a back three which you can trust that if you do get if there is a transition like there was with the second goal and the third goal, that you have to have a back three that you can trust to deal with those situations. Because if you're going to have wing backs, if we want to be in position to say, all right, Porro, Perisic, you really go for it, go really hard up the pitch, you can leave the back three to their devices, because if anything goes over the top, they can handle it. We don't have those defenders, so a lot of the time we've been playing a lot. I mean, our defense has been poor anyway, but a lot of the time people are looking at our defense season like, why are we so deep? Why are we always playing, a really deep defensive line? Why are we not, being more on the front foot, being more aggressive? I think yesterday was literally case in point. All the evidence was there yesterday as to why we can't throw caution to the wind, even against teams like Leicester, because when we do, and they have the attacking players to really expose our backline in one-on-one situations, as soon as they get it into those positions, we don't have the defenders to deal with that, to deal with any of those situations. And obviously I think Conte has a lot to blame as well. I think tactically we got done by Rodgers. I kind of predict. I'm not saying I completely predicted it, but I said if Dyer plays the way he did against Man City, against Leicester, I'm worried that what Man City do is play everything in front of you, whereas Leicester are much more likely to play that ball in behind and have those runs from Barnes from out to in and looking for those runs. And that's exactly what happened. Barnes was completely looking for that ball time after time. Iheanacho was playing it time after time. You had Maddison there as well. Maddison was also making those runs, and we got exposed, completely exposed with our defensive line. And I think Conte has to take a lot of responsibility for that. But as well, like I think he tried to be more aggressive yesterday. I think you saw that. He tried to be more on the front foot, and it worked for the first 15 minutes. But as soon as we gave Leicester any sort of encouragement, they exposed our back line for what it was, which was a shit show. Yeah,
they really did. And let's talk about the wing backs now in Perisic and Pedro Porro. Perisic, I mean, I think he's been really poor since the return of football after the World Cup, and yesterday was no different. His passing was completely atrocious yesterday. Defending was even worse. I mean, what is going on with Perisic at the moment? It seems like he can't get up and down the pitch anymore. He's not contributing to much going forward, and he's a liability at the back. I mean, what is going on with him at the moment?
I think from my point of view, Perisic yesterday, I was really angry with him for the first goal. I actually thought he started the game pretty well. Had that free kick, good save by Ward. He was taking some really good corners, which was causing Leicester a lot of problems. And then that first goal, I was furious with him because he kind of half attempts at a block and then doesn't fully commit to it, and it allows Mendy to get the shot away. I just don't understand. If you watch it again, like he literally is ready to engage Mendy and then just stops. I do not know why, for the life of me, why he stops in his tracks and doesn't fully commit to that block. That really infuriated me. You got to put your body on the line in these situations, and he didn't do it. Maybe he thought, his first 20 minutes he's probably not going to score if I let him shoot and stuff like that. I think he was very wrong. And then from then on, he had some really good opportunities actually on the left hand side to really hurt Leicester. There was one moment where one of the few times Harry Kane was able to make it stick. He played a really good through through ball to Perisic on the left-hand side. He had a lot of space to drive into the box and get a shot away or pick out opponent. Went for the shot and just dragged it wide, and in the end it was a really poor moment for him. And then I actually felt his crossing apart from his set pieces had a really off day with his crossing. Wasn't able to find anyone in a white shirt in the box. Defensively, I actually didn't think Tete was one of the ones exposing us. I think it was more on the other side.
No.
What's happened?
Bentancur news.
How long?
6 months apparently.
Oh my God. Oh. Breaking news. That is an absolute devastating news.
Well, if you thought it couldn't get bad, it couldn't get any worse as a Spurs fan. Apparently, a Tier 1 source is claiming that Bentancur's recovery will be at least 6 months. That's him out for start next season even. So what's 6 months from now? Where are we now? We're in February, March, April, May, June, July. He'll miss the start of next season probably.
Well, maybe we'll do a separate headline after.
That's a killer. But anyway, back onto the game. That's Perisic. Let's talk about Pedro Porro now, making his debut, eagerly anticipated debut as well. And I can't remember a worse debut than that. Seriously, like defensively, all over the shop. Harvey Barnes gave him a lesson yesterday. Welcome to the Premier League, he told him. Defensively, he was all over the place. Harvey Barnes was beating him time and time again. Really had the beating of him all day long, really. Going forward, I thought there was a few flashes from Pedro Porro, nice few touches, nice few runs, but it's always going to be overshadowed by that defensive display, and he was literally all over the shop, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, look, start with the very, very limited positives that we saw from Porro. Because, look, it was his debut. He kind of, I wouldn't say got thrown in the deep end, but look, they gave him a start against Leicester in this game, which was a bit of a surprise considering Emerson's performance against Man City. And he did show some nice technical ability. I think he shows he's clearly very decent on the ball. Didn't really get a good opportunity to run at anyone or put some crosses in the box. But I think he showed some good passing technique and a bit of good first touches and ability to link play decently. But what you have to say is it was the definition of kind of welcome to the Premier League kind of performance. Barnes gave him a lesson of what he's going to be up against in this league if you're not completely on it. I think he tried to be aggressive, but he got bullied a bit. When he went to press, Barnes was able to turn him. When he went strong in the challenge, it was weak. He kind of only half won the ball and ended up losing for a lot of 50-50s. There was one moment as well, there was a through ball which he tried to cut out with a sliding tackle and just completely mistimed it, and it ended up being another chance for Leicester. He wasn't able to really impact the game defensively whatsoever on that side. Barnes was just having a field day. Tanganga was getting no help from Porro as well. And going forward, he wasn't really able to make any sort of impact. A lot of it's to do with how well Leicester were playing down that side. Christensen and Barnes were linking up really well, so you've got to give them credit. But Porro was completely exposed for his lack of defensibility, which is definitely the weakness we thought he would have when first coming when he first came.
I didn't think it was this bad.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a look. Clearly, he's going to have a lot of learning to do. If he's going to be, a success here. Obviously, I think it's his first game. It wasn't an easy game. I think it was a defensive shit show all round. It wasn't just him, but Barnes roasted him. There's no doubt about it. He was exposed.
Did we miss a trick a bit, maybe saving Porro's debut to play alongside Romero on that right-hand side? Because that would have helped him a lot, wouldn't it? Look,
I was surprised he started because I thought Emerson would have kept his place, considering his performance last week. But look, maybe. Yeah, I would say it was probably throwing him at the deep end to prepare him with Tanganga. But maybe as well, Conte thought that with Tanganga's strength and ability to sometimes dominate on that side, that he'd be able to do it and allow Porro to go forward. That didn't happen whatsoever. Tanganga had a poor game, and that meant whenever Porro was caught, we were completely exposed. But Porro, what I was really disappointed in was just his lack of strength in the challenge. A few times, it happened a number of times, where he went in for a tackle and just came off second best, and it really put us under pressure. So that was really disappointing from Porro. It was a really bad debut, I have to say. But look, It's only his first start. We'll have to wait and see how he develops. Look, coming from the Portuguese league where maybe he could have got away with some of those challenges that he did do in terms of how weak they were. I think he'll have a big learning curve as to what the Premier League is all about and how strong you have to be. And look, everything's a learning curve when you sign a new player. So I'm not going to say it's evidence he's going to be a failure here. It's all about having a bit of patience with him. I always thought it'd need a bit of patience anyway, but I didn't think it would be that bad the debut. To be fair,
I just couldn't believe from the stands how small he looked on that pitch yesterday. I couldn't believe it. He looked like the tiniest player on that pitch by far, and I know he wasn't, but for some reason he looked like that. He looked really weak, and I know Pedro Porro is a really good player, and I think he's going to be a success here, but that display yesterday was really, really shocking, and it really was like a welcome to the Premier League, and it reminded me a little bit of the Lisandro Martinez debut for Manchester United, where he got completely dominated in his first game or first few games there. So hopefully Porro can learn quickly, because look how Lisandro Martinez has turned it around. He's been one of the best performing centre-backs in the league this season. So you got to put your faith in Pedro Porro. I believe he's a top player, so I think he'll get to grips with things soon. But that game yesterday was really bad, really bad. In terms of the front line yesterday, I thought Kulusevski put in his worst display in a Spurs shirt. I thought Christensen completely dominated him on that side. Heung-min Son was back to the Heung-min Son before the Preston game, where he was just taking sloppy touches, hanging on the ball for way too long. And Harry Kane just couldn't get himself in the game enough. So, I mean, it was just a shocking display all round.
Yeah, I thought they started looking quite sharp at the beginning of the game, but once Faust and Suter started to settle in the game and really getting those strong challenges in, Kane was pretty weak whenever he was up against Faust. Every time Faust pressed him, he ended up losing it. As I said, Son was so frustrating on the ball, like he has been recently, or for the majority of the season. Like in those positions where he just you can't hang on to the ball, especially when you're like someone like Son, who's no disrespect to him, he's not the strongest player on the ball, upper body strength. It's not really his game to hold players off and stuff like that. He can't really bounce off players. Because what he does is he actually does something really frustrating, where he actually gets on the turn and then he opens up the space. You'll think, okay, now release it. And what he does, he just doesn't release it. He doesn't really hangs onto the ball for so long until he loses it. And I think players are targeting that. They're wise to it, and they know that if they just keep with him, they're going to have an opportunity to nick the ball. And every time it happens, and he hangs onto the ball way too long so often. And the flip side of that, like for example against Man City, it does sometimes create opportunities. Like remember in the first few minutes against Man City, where he just had his head down, he had the run, and he opened up an opportunity, and that's the benefit of it. But that happens few and far between. And when you have teams like Leicester who are going to be compact in the middle, he's going to lose the ball way more often than not, and it's becoming a massive detriment of our team right now. Either you have the upper body strength where you can hold players off, and then it's going to be hard for him to win the ball off you, or you have to release it really quickly and then make sure you're opening up the space. And at the moment, he's losing the ball. He's not doing either. And what's happening is he doesn't have the upper body strength. He's losing the ball way too often in those congested areas, and it's becoming a big liability for us, and it's putting us under pressure time after time. And there's no link-up play. When Son's the one starting the move, there's just no link-up play at the moment.
When the front line is that poor, how can they wait so long to make these attacking changes as they did yesterday? I mean, Richarlison and Danjuma came on with 15 minutes to go, just over 10 minutes to go, something like that. And it's like, we could see it from the stands, you could see it from the TVs, how we're calling out for attacking changes for so long. And they eventually make that triple change. Davinson Sanchez comes on, Emerson comes on, and Richarlison comes on, and Danjuma came on a bit later. It's just like, why wait so long? And when you do make the changes, why are you bringing on Davinson Sanchez? Why are you bringing on Emerson? I get that we needed to shore up that right-hand side potentially, but we needed to find goals from somewhere. And you ain't going to find goals bringing on Davinson Sanchez and Emerson.
Yeah, but he brought
Royale.
on Danjuma and Richarlison, didn't he?
Danjuma came on. Yeah, Richarlison came on 15 minutes ago. I think Danjuma came on, 5 minutes later, but it was too late by then.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, game was done. It's a constant, it's a criticism which has been labelled at Conte throughout the whole season. Waits way too long to make his substitutions, and I completely agree. And that was a case in point yesterday. Should have made it way earlier, probably at half time.
Exactly.
Yeah, probably at half time. I would have made it. Kane, Son, Kulusevski weren't clicking. Bentancur, or when did Bentancur get injured? Second half. He got injured second half, didn't he?
Yeah, second half.
So, I mean, I wouldn't have changed the middle two, but maybe I would have taken Tanganga off even at half time, or even Porro off potentially at half time. Really make a change, decisive change at that point. But he waited too long. Leicester, it seemed as like we were just waiting for Leicester to score that fourth goal in a way in that second half. And it was way too little too late when we did make the changes, and then the game was already done. It was 4-1. We weren't getting back in the game with 15 minutes to go at 4-1. So I completely agree. He waited way too long to make this change. It wasn't as if like he saw some encouragement on the team. There was nothing there to suggest like we were going to get back in that game without changing something. So I thought he got out tactics, and he waited too long to make the changes as well. So not a great day for Conte at all. And he didn't look 100% on the touchline as well. He really didn't.
Is understandable, to be fair, but look, you got to put the blame has to go on everyone yesterday. The management, the playing staff, every single person involved with that performance yesterday. It was nowhere near good enough from start to finish, from top to bottom. And when you're looking at the results around the Premier League yesterday, Arsenal dropping points, Newcastle dropping points, Chelsea dropping points, all these teams dropping points around us, and then we go and lose, which makes it even more frustrating. And all these teams drop points around us, and they still gain points on us yesterday, which is so frustrating. Yeah,
you can look at it two ways. At least they didn't pull that much further clear. But yeah, it's definitely a missed opportunity, considering we're going to that game in high spirits. We should be informed going into that game, especially defensively. Like, we were so poor defensively. But look, the game was awful. It was a real shit show. But I guess let's talk about what makes it so much worse now is this news we're just sharing, and that's now after having one game with a fully fit squad, we're now in a position where we are kind of on our knees at the moment in now all of a sudden,
especially in midfield. Midfield was looking like one of our strongest areas going into the second half of the season. If you bring up the